Hello everyone. First I would like to thank you for coming to my speech on why I believe that people who are drug abusers should go to rehabilitation centers instead of prisons. I once knew a man who had a serious addiction to crack cocaine. He became addicted to the stimulating drug in his late 20s and struggled with this problem for over 10 years. This man always tended to find a way of getting in trouble with the law. No matter how much he pleaded with the police telling them that he had a serious problem, the police ignored it and just felt that he needed to be in a prison cell instead of being in an actual rehabilitation center. By listening to this presentation, you will see the importance of helping somebody with a drug addiction rather than sending them to a prison. I'm an authority over this subject because I have dealt personally with a situation like this with somebody in my family. A close family member of mine was addicted to a very strong drug over that period of time, they were constantly getting in trouble with the law. Having experienced a situation with a certain family member, I believe very strongly in getting help with an addiction. This has taught me that drugs are not something to be tampered with, and it leads to uncontrollable addictions like what happened to my family member. While advocating for more available rehabilitation centers, I will present to you powerful statistics to illustrate the need for more help. With a very sensitive story to highlight why I believe that help should always be the first step before anything else if someone is seriously ill. Also to discuss why prison systems are taking advantage of the victims instead of finding a way to help them. According to the U.S. Bureau of Justice, statistics show that approximately 2,000 adults were incarcerated in the U.S. federal systems and state prisons and county jails at year-end of 2010. 7% of the adults were resident population. Additionally, approximately 400,993,667 adults at year-end 2009 were on probation or on parole. In total, 7 million adults were under the correctional supervision in probation, jail, or prison in 2009. About 3.1% of adults in the U.S. resident population. The reason for providing these startling statistics is to show that the number of adults incarcerated can dramatically decrease if we have access to help. And my method or my verbal source citation for this is Incarceration in the United States by Heather West, published in the U.S. Bureau of Justice in December 2009. And my first visual I would like to show everyone is a chart showing incarcerated Americans. And as you can see, it shows the difference between adults and teenagers and how that dramatically increases between the two. And you can see that the teenagers have a higher rating than the adults. The heart-wrenching story that I would like to share with everyone is, well, the first question I would like to share as the audience is, has anyone ever had someone close to you addicted to a drug? And how did you feel? How did that make you feel? Sad. I will share with you a piece of that story that shows the helplessness in this father who is losing his battle to his daughter who has an addiction to heroin. Darcy's father stood over a hospital bed, head bowed in silent prayer, asking God to help his 15-year-old daughter through withdrawal for her heroin addiction. He's a good dad, loves his girl very dearly, and can't understand why such a young person, his child, could get into such deep trouble. And where I found that story at was Drug Addiction Stories, real life stories told by actual victims, published by The Mission in April 2012. And I would like to show you a picture of my cousin who was affected by crack cocaine. First, I have a picture on top which shows him in his normal state when he was younger, and then him now. And you can see there's a dramatic decrease in his weight and everything else around him. Rehab is the key to success. The best method of dealing with a loved one who is affected by this harmful drug is to first accept their problem and then make sure they accept the problems themselves. If not, it will lead to them into the hands of the wrong person, causing your loved one to be locked up and not be able to get any kind of help. The only thing they can really rely on is a four wall surrounding them, which doesn't help them at all, because if you have four walls surrounding you, then that's completely different from having somebody who can sit there in front of you, talk you through it, and relate with other people who have dealt with the same problem. This is just a temporary punishment to the drug abusers, which some will learn there, and then some will learn for the most part, but at the same time, most do not. And this is doing nothing but filling the cells in prisons, allowing the owners of these facilities to relieve more money instead of finding a way for help. And I believe that instead of using that money to fill the prison cells, they can use it in community rehabilitation centers to open in the public for drug abusers. And the next slide I would like to share with you is the difference between somebody sitting in a jail cell and somebody sitting outside in a rehabilitation center. While advocating on this topic I have presented to you, this is what I feel is a serious issue and should not go unnoticed. I have provided startling statistics, a snippet of a heart-wrenching story, and pointed out that the prison industry wants nothing more than someone to fill in their jail cell rather than helping these drug abusers. I would like to set up a petition to the local Greensboro court system to demand more public rehabilitation centers in the area for adults and teenagers who are struggling with drug abuse. In the process of this petition, I will need your full participation. I will need you to sign a petition sheet, and this will allow me to take it to the courthouse and to show them that I'm serious about this topic, and then we will go around to local community centers and figure out different ways and methods. And that will be the conclusion of my presentation. Thank you for coming.